Finally, it is time for another in-game video. Today I'm going to talk about an add-on that fundamentally changes questing for the better, if you're into that sort of thing. It's also a great opportunity to talk about some elements that make an RPG, so we'll do that as well. Now, I found this add-on on the front page of r/WoW recently, and it definitely deserves its place. After I installed it, I went and I did some leveling, and I'm convinced that this is a massive improvement to the game's leveling experience. So what is it called, and what does it do? Well, the add-on is called Storyline, and it changes the game's quest dialogue interface to be one that is basically more reminiscent of an RPG in terms of what it brings to the table. Now let's go in-game and see what all the fuss is about. And now we're in-game to have a bit of a look at how this add-on functions, so it's really pretty simple. You go up to an NPC, and you click on them. Big surprise. First big difference is you get some scrolling text here. I'll talk about how the scrolling text is great a bit in the video, but suffice to say, it makes getting a bit of story a lot easier. Now, this quest was particularly wordy, most aren't like that. So anyway, you get your main quest text, then you get the sort of motivating bit of text that tells you what to do. You click again, it shows you your objectives, and then you can accept or decline. It streamlines all of that into a sort of conversational way of doing things, which is different from just, boom, here's a big wall of text, hit accept, which means that you never really read it and you don't really get the context of an actual quest. I don't enjoy reading quest text, and this actually presents it to me in a way that means I can actually sort of read it without getting frustrated, which is really quite nice. It also does this whole thing where the characters pop up, which is just, I suppose, a way of making it feel a bit more personal. And we've disconnected. That's just great. Alright, well, technical difficulties permitting, let's keep on going. Now, if you want to click through all this stuff, yeah, you can totally do that. Goes through quickly, and then you hit accept. Whatever, that's just fine. If I talk to this character again, and basically it shows me the objectives, and it's like, yo, you haven't done that, here's a big X. Now, you can do some other things in terms of your resizing, so you can resize it here, and what's nice is it does give you, like, the full size of the window that it's going to resize to, which is pretty cool. Now, I know some people might like to make this a bit bigger so you can see the character models more, so if we were to do that, then boom, it's bigger, which is, well, a bit too big for me, but hey, it's an option that you can have. Anyway, so I'm going to go and do these quests, and I'll cut back once I've actually done them, and I can show you what it's like handing in some quest stuff. Alright then, now that we've put down our foes, let's talk to this person and hand the quest in. So you'll see it's largely sort of a similar thing. It's like your standard dialogue. That's really how this add-on rolls. I hit continue, and then it asks me to get my reward, so I click in this, and it gives me all these options, and I can choose what I want, which overall is pretty darn cool. Now, you do have a few other options, which I should probably show you, so I'm just going to cut back whenever I find an NPC who's got a quest for me. And here's an NPC that will do the job nicely, so click on them, blah blah blah, some text is there. You can increase the animation speed, or you can leave it at the default, which I believe is 0.5. You can auto-equip rewards, or you can change the language into the language of the enemy, which I'm not going to do. So that's essentially a look at this add-on. I'll talk about it more in the main bit of the video. So as you can see, this essentially removes the wall of text problem that WoW questing generally grapples with. It also brings in some UI elements from the Garrison stuff, and in general it does a better job of showing character interaction than the base game system does. Of course, there is only so much that an add-on can do. But essentially, by providing text in a bite-sized manner, they allow for it to feel more conversational and a little bit less daunting. Much of the reason why I end up clicking through most of the various quests is because who the hell can be bothered reading a massive wall of text? It's not broken up, and you could lose your position on the text because it's in a game where everything's moving, blah blah blah. It's just a pain in the arse having a big wall of text. Now, the big benefit of having a big wall of text is that it does let you get through the quests a lot faster. But that, to a degree, means that quests lose their narrative context, because less people are likely to read the quest text. By solving this problem, well, this add-on has really improved the amount that I enjoy the questing in World of Warcraft. It really is quite great. It also asks for user input from time to time. So for an example, when you're, say, checking objectives or advancing a dialogue, this sacrifices speed for the sake of a bit more interactivity with NPCs, even though it is sort of air quotes fake interactivity that's just provided by the user interface. But I put it to you that, say, in Witcher 3 or Dragon Age or pretty much any other RPG, it would be possible to get more efficient dialogue by just skipping all of the text, skipping all of the dialogue. Just you walk up to an NPC, you hit E in your keyboard, and boom, your objectives pop up and away you go. But in Witcher, in Dragon Age, and anything like that, that would decrease the amount of fun and stuff that goes on with the questing experience because it's removing all of that essential context. Yes, it would be much faster and more efficient, but it's not good for those games, and while World of Warcraft's primary strength is not its storytelling, this example does apply less to World of Warcraft than it does to a single-player RPG, but I do think that overall this is a great exercise in how the design of a user interface can really impact a game. Finally, the big difference that this add-on makes is that when you're leveling up through a zone in World of Warcraft, it's far easier to essentially stay with the story and know what's going on. And some of the zones do have particularly good stories. I know at the minute I'm going through Tirisfal Glade and Silverpine Forest, and that stuff is very nice, and it's definitely helped by this add-on because it's easier to track who the characters are, to see the dialogue, and to really get a grip on what's going on without having to basically read a novel. Essentially, it takes all that quest text that's written like it's a feckin' novel, and it boils it into a formula that works well for a video game. Blizzard haven't really touched their way of presenting the information from quests, bar having a bit of voice acting, since 2005. Yes, maybe the window pops up in a different place these days, but certainly I think this is a better way of doing it for the sake of game design. Now, I'm not a role player, and that doesn't really interest me at all, but I do like a good single-player game with a good story. So if you're similar to me, then I heartily recommend giving this mod a go when you're leveling your next character. I know that when Legion rolls around, I will definitely be using this.